I remember discovering Seinfeld back in the early 2000s. Yes, I was a little late. I was, well, really late. Play my age. And I caught it on Star World here in India. Initially, I didn't like it that much, but as the show grew, my interest grew tenfolds towards this particular show because it really was all about comedy. There was lack of emotional reliance, meaning that they didn't want to make that quintessential sitcom type where there is a lot of emotion shared. They want to focus on comedy, they want to focus on the friendship relationships, because who the hell is serious in their early 20s? I mean, I know these guys are a little older than that in the show, but it was what was needed at that particular time. And then I rewatched the show. I rewatched this particular show on Netflix again, and my goodness, was I floored. I was laughing out loud a lot. George Costanza was hilarious. Kramer was quite the individual. Elaine was funny too, and Jerry was the one observing everyone and creating his own stand up. Now, Seinfeld is one of the most successful TV shows that ever was made. It aired in 1989, the Seinfeld Chronicles, but the show would not return for a full year. The second episode didn't air until May of 1990. The series itself is very influential, is one of the most influential programs ever made. It was shaking off the last atmosphere or the last cobwebs of the 1970s sitcom revolution. It suggested boldly that sitcoms didn't need to be about the important issues or even use traditional storytelling methods to be great. Instead, they could just focus on the minutiae of life, the little bits and pieces of larger things that add up to form our points of view. Before Seinfeld, most sitcoms broke into an A story and a B story, and the surrounding material could take a form of what you called a runner, a joke that is continued throughout the episode and told a very loose story but didn't do much than that. Seinfeld, on the other hand, if you take a look at an episode like The Contest, each character has their own storyline. All four of them, intertwine with each other. There is coverage in the final moments to create a whole that is larger than its parts. The best Seinfeld episodes are marvels of story structure with jokes and storylines tucking into each other in ways that can be as thrilling as any plot twist in an extremely successful, extremely well written, plot heavy drama. Seinfeld also made us want to watch characters that are not always that good, not goody two shoes. It made us want to watch self involved jerks, as they say. Take, for instance, George Costanza. He's a very loathsome figure. We empathize with George because we recognize in his character all of the times we've been unable to escape our own limitations and weakness. So Seinfeld didn't run away from the shades of grey. Seinfeld held up a mirror in front of us and says, this is also what characters look like. It made us relate to the characters, not characters that we aspire to be, but we are in some form or the other. Seinfeld also was the signifying situation. Seinfeld was also the sign of the death of the multiface camera sitcom. When they talk about multiface camera sitcom, what they mean is a sitcom that functions almost as a filmed play, with multiple cameras, which are usually four, in fixed positions, capturing the action of a sitcom taping, usually in front of a live audience. The difference you can see, an example is that the difference between Cheers and Modern Family. The evolutionary history of the sitcom format can be split into two periods, with Seinfeld as a rough dividing line. Yes, the NBC creators or the NBC forced the creators Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David to make the show a multi-camera But once the two were committed to doing so, they essentially broke all of the established rules of how multi-camera sitcoms work, twisting and bending them so far that the multi-camera sitcom had essentially nowhere else to go if the writers wanted to continue to innovate. In my opinion, Seinfeld is one of the most hilarious shows of all time, and in my opinion should be the most popular show of all time, but that's not how it works. The world does not revolve around me. It is a great show. I loved every bit of the show. It took a little while to start, but everything from Kramer's entrance and quirkiness to Josh Costanza's loserness, which is so endearing at sometimes, it actually works because he's never that successful. He is a certain way, he is a negative way, he is a little delusional, but it's only working and it's only hilarious because he always falls short of what he wants to do. He's not that successful, he's not that big of a loser, I beg your pardon, as much as he thinks he is, because, well, he does sometimes fall into good jobs, but he's hilariously average. And aren't we all almost the same way? Elaine was also a funny character, and so was Jerry. He wasn't, in your face funny, but he was the more observational person, and he was the glue that kept everyone together. Thank you so much for watching this video. Seinfeld has changed the landscape for TV for good, and it is one of the most hilarious shows of all time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Thank you so much.